Welcome to The Exchange, the program that introduces you to lots of interesting people. Throughout the season, we'll be exchanging many ideas on wide-ranging topics that affect us all in everyday life. I'm Rob Buckingham, and my co-host on The Exchange is my wife, Christie.
Yeah, it's great to be here today. On this show, we'll be discussing that commonly heard question, can women have it all? Well, we'll be taking a look at how women can balance a career while raising a family. Or is it just too much to do all at once?
To discuss this topic, we're very happy to be joined by Margie Warrell, who's an author and media commentator. Welcome to you, Margie.
Hi, Rob. Hi, Christie. Great to be here.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, indeed.
We're also thrilled to be joined by Sasha Allen, who's a solicitor currently working for local government and a wife and mother of 2 boys. Hi, Sasha.
Hi, Christie. Hi, Rob.
It's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
Before we get into the discussion today, let's take a look at this.
Having a successful career has always been a top priority. You worked hard since you left school, married the man of your dreams, finally landed that perfect job. And now you've got a beautiful baby. Looks like you've got to choose between your career and raising your family. Nonsense! You're a special kind of person. You're a woman. You can balance both, right?
Can women have it all? Margie and Sasha, we've got 2 ladies here who are both full-time employed and have 4 kids and 2 kids. Now, I'd like to start with a quote by our Governor-General, Quentin Bryce. She says this: women can have it all, but not all at the same time. Would you agree with that, Sasha?
Interesting comment. It's probably taken me 15 years to work that out, but yeah, I'd probably agree.
Okay, interesting. And yet you're still doing the juggle?
Definitely doing the juggle. Still haven't quite got it right, but getting there.
Okay. What about you, Margie?
Look, I think the Governor-General's comment was really about, can we have it all at full capacity at the same time? And I don't think we can, no. But I do think we can have a career and we can have great children, be raising children at the same time, but we can't necessarily do both at full throttle and necessarily to the level of perfection that we might always want to do.
Yeah.
And so there's always a trade-off involved. And so, I have 4 kids and I have a career that's really rewarding, but, I'm not always there for my kids when I want to be, and I'm certainly not necessarily pursuing my career at the same level of gusto and the same amount of time that I would if I didn't have kids.
Because you've decided what sacrifice you're prepared. I have a friend and her husband are both in international banking, and they basically have made a decision that their children are virtually just going to be reared by nannies. Now, that's a huge cost.
Mm-hmm. That is a huge cost.
So in that way, you'd be going, can you have it all, or can you have it all, but you have to have it not at the same time?
Yeah, and to leave your children in full-time care and be travelling all the time with like an international banking career, something like that, that is a huge cost. And I think we have to be really clear about why we choose to do what we do,
including having children.
Why are we having them if we're never going to see them, for instance.
And not just 1 or 2 kids, but 4 kids.
Yeah. And I come from a family of 7 kids, and
so you like a big family.
So for me, having a big family was something I really valued. I love the dynamics. I mean, even the noise levels, as crazy as it is, I enjoy that level of, just
I do too.
chaos that happens in the family.
Of 1, but I love the chaos.
And
but you make enough noise for 7. That's the whole thing, isn't it?
And my husband did too. We really love the idea of having a big family. We were blessed that we could. Not everyone can. But by the same token, I think my kids also benefit from having a mum who's also pursuing things that give her a sense of fulfilment outside the home. And for me, that's doing the work that I do. And you said earlier, I'm employed, but I am self-employed.
Right, yes.
Because that gives me a flexibility. And I know you'll feel the same way. Having flexibility is so crucial.
Because you made a choice, didn't you, to go from one area of law to another?
Absolutely. And I think getting it back to having it all, I think it comes down to the definition. And I guess when I was younger, 15 years ago, I thought I could have it all. I thought I could be the partner of a law firm. I thought I could be a criminal lawyer. I thought I could do everything. Then as you go through the process of actually working up that corporate ladder, and yet at the same time you're falling in love, getting married, having children, you start to realise, well, hang on a minute, it's not actually working. And I really actually do not have it all. And then my definition of having it all started to change.
Okay.
And then I had to make the sacrifices. And is it a sacrifice? Again, that's perceived idea. But for me, I made the choice to have children, and I wanted to be there for them.
And was that the crisis point of change for you personally?
Definitely.
Has the children arrived, or when you walked into the house one day and they started to cry because they thought there was a stranger in the house, right?
When they start cuddling the nanny and it's opposed to me. It's always a bit of a worry. No, that didn't happen. I actually twigged that idea before I got to that stage.
Okay.
And it was always, for me, trying to balance it. And if it didn't work, it was always my career that would go first.
And I like to pick up on what you said about it's not a sacrifice because it's actually about what you value.
Yeah.
And so when you value, I say to my kids constantly, would you like mommy not to work? And they're going, absolutely not. We want you because you've got interesting things to say. And, I'm always on one thing or another, but it's about values, isn't it? You have to take what you value into consideration.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, that's at the core. You're absolutely right. At the core of it all is what is most important to me. And our children are very important to us. Being a great parent is very important to us. But choosing that there's other things that are important to us, whether it's taking time out for our own self-care, whether it's having a career. I mean, not everybody wants to have a career. Not every woman feels called to be doing, in business or in other areas. But I do think, having that alignment, really, that gives us that sense of integrity. Yeah. And I know for me, it's like, how can I tell my children to go and pursue your dreams in life and not be role modelling that myself, even though it might not be, it might be on low burn because, we are also being parent and that takes time.
And I think that's a very interesting thing that you said was that not everybody feels that way. Some people who are working shouldn't be, and some people who aren't should be.
Yeah. Where do you think most of the pressure comes from, Sasha?
Definitely myself. It's all about juggling your career with your family, making sure everything is working together. I'm constantly feeling like, am I giving 100% at work? Am I giving 100% to my children? Am I being there when they need me? And then, of course, don't forget the husband. You've got to be there for him as well. And then it's also yourself. It's about taking time out to look after your own health and happiness. And juggling all that becomes really difficult. So, and you put that pressure.
Do you find the same, Margie?
Yeah, I do think it comes from ourselves. I also think part of that is we look around at what people around us are doing, and there's the rise and rise of parenting police in recent decades too. So, like, what does it mean to be a great mum, to be great at everything? And so we've got the bar set really high, and I think we're often comparing ourselves with other women and going, oh, I'm not doing as well as her, I'm not as good as this.
And she's probably thinking, I'm not doing as well as you.
Yeah, and so I think we're constantly we've got the bar set just so high, we feel like we're never measuring up.
And there's a lot of comparison. I mean, what you're saying about doing 100% as a mum, I mean, there's almost professional mums who they do the scrapbooking for the kids instead of letting the kids draw with crayons. They've got, so it gets a bit ridiculous. Margie, you've authored 2 books, one of them that's just come out recently, Playing Safe, and you've also co-authored with Stephen Covey and Ken Blanchard and a few others. How on earth did you manage that with 4 kids?
By the seat of my pants on a daily basis, I think. I mean, juggling lots of balls, dropping lots of balls. My kids pick them up, throw them at each other, forgiving myself. And, constantly just going, where is it that I need to focus my energy today? What matters most? And what do I need to let go? Because I think often as I just said, I think sometimes good enough is good enough, and we can spend too much time focused on trying to be perfect and trying to have everything just right. And I think it really comes back to all the time looking and goes, where's the best use of my time today? And saying no to those things that aren't aligned to it, and giving ourselves permission not to be absolutely perfect all the time.
I think that's wonderful advice. Great conversation. We'll be back with more in just a moment on The Exchange. Welcome back to The Exchange. We're having a great discussion here with Margie Warrell and Sasha Allen on whether women can balance a career as well as raising a family. And one of the things, and I have a reason for asking this, but how important is your husband's help in enabling you to do what you do? Let's start with you, Margie.
Frankly, to me, it's just crucial. And to me, it's a real team effort when it comes to raising our kids and supporting each other in our careers. Because for my husband and I, he travels a lot with his work, and I travel you know, not infrequently with my own. So how do we support each other in doing what it is we aspire to do outside the home, while also being the parents our kids need us to be, so that they can grow and thrive and be where they need to be. So it's absolute team effort.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Would you say the same, Sasha?
I kind of wish he would do more.
What's his name?
Darren.
Okay, so Darren, if you're watching right now, we need you to do more. Okay,
He's absolutely fabulous. And I think if it's not your husband, because he also has his own career and he's got his own business and it's difficult, at least somebody in the family. For me, I'm lucky enough that I have my mum. And if one of us can't be there, she's the backup. And without that, we wouldn't be where we are.
That's
absolutely.
so good. And Christie,
And you
how
want to hear
good
from
is
me,
your
don't
husband?
you?
in
Absolutely.
all of this?
I mean, look, I would say that it is also crucial, and we try to not normally have both of us under a lot of pressure at the same time. We sort of have one. We try to do this a little bit, but it doesn't always work that way. But we also try to get outside help for critical times, so that the pressure is taken off the things that anyone can do. Anyone can do the ironing, anyone can do the washing, but not anyone can spend the time with our kids.
No, that's right.
What is washing and ironing?
I like you. That's really good. Excellent.
You've got to find ways, though. You've got to find ways to make it work. What are some of the ways that you find to make working and being a parent work?
Definitely outside help, and it is outsourcing the ironing and the cleaning and those kind of things, and I'm fortunate enough that I can do that. So that gives me more time then to spend with my family, my work and my career, and on myself as well, and I think that's important, getting those balances.
Absolutely. And Margie, what would you say is the main reason in Australia for mothers working?
Look, I think the cost of living has gone up so much, I think, is a major reason why.
So you're saying it's almost impossible for a mum not to work?
No, I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible for mum not to work, and some people, a lot of women they have the choice not to work, and that's lovely to have that choice. But a lot don't. And the cost of living has gone up a lot, and I think a lot of families feel under pressure to have a second income coming in, even if it's not a full-time income, but it's some extra money coming in. And obviously over the last decade, we've seen the cost of living in, certainly the big cities has gone up enormously. And I think, it opens up more options for a family when, there is more income coming in. But I also think, obviously, in the last few decades, we're seeing more and more women educated. It's becoming more acceptable. It's not so much outside the norm for a woman to have a career, even if it's part-time for a while when kids are young, to be working. So I think there is more and more acceptance for that, and it's easier for women
and
too.
And workplaces are becoming more open to it as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And there'd be less pressure on women to necessarily stay at home and be full-time mums at home as well, I would imagine, and all of that.
I think it comes back to choice, and it's having that choice of making, do you want to be at home or do you want to go out and work? And for me, going to work was just imperative. I would have gone nuts being a full-time mum at home, and I tried it for a short time and I was so miserable and so depressed. So getting back to why women want to go out into work, I think it's a self thing as well. It's wanting to feel respected, and it's respect from your own husband and children. It's not so much the financial side of it, it's wanting to give your children the best you can, and that might mean travelling overseas, it might mean sending them to the best schools, and that's what it is. It's making the choice.
So it's a choice. Well, that's what we think. Let's see what the people on the street have to say.
Do you think women can balance having a career as well as raising a family?
I think it's extremely difficult.
Yes, I firmly believe that, but I think there's a lot of compromise and a lot of pressure on women.
Absolutely, I do.
I think it's possible. I think it's hard. The balance is difficult, and I think it helps if your employer is flexible.
Absolutely, why not? My mum, she got up at like 4 o'clock every day and went to work and then came back and was mum.
Having a family takes a lot of time and energy, and I think having a career takes a lot of time and energy, and I think to do both very well means that you can't invest 100% in both of them.
I think they can, but certainly it's quite challenging from what I've seen with friends that we associate with.
Well, my parents separated when about 4 years ago, and ever since it's just been me, my mum and my brother. My mum's balanced being a visual artist and raising us too.
What do you think is the cost in trying to balance both?
Definitely need a supportive partner. I mean, a woman can't work full-time and look after kids full-time, so you really need a partner who's willing to take on, that role as well.
Overall, for women who work, if they've got a wonderful supportive partner, it's fantastic. If they haven't, I think it's a slog.
Doing both 100% is maybe difficult, but you can do some compromises, I think.
It's rewarding, but it's very challenging.
So I think you have to make choices about what you sacrifice when you have a family and a career, and I think that's extremely difficult. I think that for women who have already invested a lot of time and energy in establishing a career and then go on to have a child, which is not unreasonable, I think that puts them in an extremely difficult position because you do need to make compromises, and I think that's hard.
And on the exchange, it's time to welcome our Street Talk reporter, Sandra Cavallo.
Hi, how are
Sandra, you did great out there. Tell me, what struck you?
Well, I heard loud and clear that it's hard. It's hard for women to balance both. But I think the thing that struck me the most was that everyone kind of said that you need a supportive partner to be able to do this, which then begged the question in my mind, well, how do single mums?
Yeah,
how do
someone
they
actually mentioned that.
Yeah, how do they actually do this and, have a career, if it is a career, and balance a family? I think you heard the guy who said that his mum gets up at 4 in the morning, and
amazing.
I mean, that's full on.
And she comes home and then she's mum.
And I think there is a difference between a career and a job. Somewhere where you have to put in if you're going to be moving along for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I mean, any thoughts on that, Margie?
Look, a career does often require that much more investment if you want to move up, as you're saying. A job, obviously, we can just go in, we do what we have to do and walk out, and there's not necessarily the same demands on us and pressures for us to be giving outside, say, standard working hours.
And do you think mums are opting for that a little bit?
Yes, some do. And obviously, it's where it's all about trade-offs and compromise. And I think that's where sometimes when we're in a busy phase with kids, it can be, I want a job that's not going to be taxing on me outside certain hours. It's very much set, school-friendly hours, that sort of thing. And that's just a choice people make. And I know, we talked about that earlier, that sometimes having a job that isn't overly demanding can be just the best fit, even if it's not always the most exciting or it doesn't offer as much opportunity as other paths might.
And I definitely made that choice. I mean, you just couldn't possibly. I worked in litigation in corporate law, and you have demand on you 24/7, and you can't choose when you're going to work and when you're not. If you're going to court, you're going to court, as simple as that. And so I think once you get further in your career, and I was lucky enough to get to a stage that I could actually start making demands, and so I made the choice to go into government because it is more family friendly, and it definitely works now. And I walked in there and I said, I want 10 weeks holiday a year. I want to be able to leave to pick up my kids from school, thinking that they're just going to blow me away, but they said, yep, right, you can start tomorrow. And I was like, oh, okay, fabulous.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
So, but I was very lucky. There's a lot of people that don't have that. There's a lot of organisations that don't have that work-life balance, and it's finding that opportunity.
One of the people on Street Talk actually talked about flexible hours and employment where the boss understands. And do you think that's a trend that's happening more and more in our society these days?
I think absolutely it is. I mean, there's a huge focus at the moment, in industry and business to get more women staying on, not exiting the workforce in their 30s when they start having families. And so flexible working conditions, and now with the technology that's available, people can do more from home and taking conference calls and getting their job done in a flexible way. So I think that's fantastic for women because
the challenge with that also is that it sometimes put more pressure on. I remember one time speaking to a bank manager, and my then 2-year-old emptied 3 boxes of tissues just to keep them quiet for 20 minutes. So the flexibility means then that your children see you working all the time, so you don't have that space that you go to. So it has its
and having the actual energy. All the energy is at your job, then having the same amount of energy for your kids, which probably demand just as much. It's quite a challenge.
We certainly find that. Do you find that some days you give everything at work and then you come home and you've got like this bit left for your kids?
Oh, look, I try not to.
Yes.
I mean, my priority is when I'm at home, it's for my kids. But often if you have to work from home and you've got that conference call happening, I think it's good for your children to see you like that anyway. As being a role model for women, I think it's important for them to know that, okay, I can't speak now, I can't yell and scream because mummy's working, mum's on the phone. And I think they really need to learn that.
Yes. Yeah, good boundaries. Wonderful discussion, Sandra. Thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.
You're on The Exchange. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
We're going to be
Welcome back to The Exchange, where relationship author and media commentator Margie Warrell and solicitor Sasha Allen have been sharing their insights on Can Women Have It All? We've got a question on Facebook.
Yes,
Christie?
we do. And the question is there too soon for mothers to go back to work? What do you think, Margie?
Look, what's the perfect age to go back to work? It's very debatable and you get a lot of different opinions. But I think it's important to realise not every woman has the choice about when she goes back to work. And a lot of people, they're facing a financial reality. They need to get back to work as soon as they can because they need the money.
Yes.
So, it's having seen women go back to work with really young children, I've been very grateful at times that I didn't have to do that when I had a 6-week-old baby or a 3-month-old. But the fact is that it's not always a choice for people and for women, and they need to just sometimes get back into work. Realising that, little children, we often think about how this will impact them, and often they don't know anything else. So we're looking around at what everyone else is doing and think, oh, this is better, this is worse. But really, long as our kids know they're loved and we're doing the best for them, I think that at the end of the day is what matters most.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that, Sasha?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're right. Is when you don't have that choice, and it's a struggle for the mum internally more so, and also the perception of what other people are thinking of you. And I think if you can disassociate yourself from what other people are telling you that you shouldn't be going back to work and you should be a stay-at-home mum, if you can disassociate yourself from that, then it's fine.
Do you think there's any long-term effects on children whose mothers have worked versus children whose mothers have been stay-at-home mums?
It's interesting. There's actually a study that came out of the UK last week which found that children of working mums aren't any worse off.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Than mums who stay at home. Obviously, their mums aren't necessarily doing all the same things for them. But I think that there's no doubt at all, I know my kids, they have to be that little bit more independent, that bit more resilient, that bit more resourceful for themselves, because I am not focused on them. I'm not a helicopter parent. And I know that a lot of kids can get over-parented, which is a whole other topic area.
That's
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
Maybe we'll get you back in next time.
Working parents often don't over-parent. That's a problem we don't have to handle.
We have to wrap up, but just before we conclude, what tips would you give to working mothers who want to have it all? Sasha?
Definitely not worrying about what other people think. For me, it was when I wasn't working, I was being judged because I was a stay-at-home mum. When I started working, I was being judged because now I'm working and I've got a career. Yep. I had to completely shut off and do what I felt was right.
Yep.
And that's what I did.
For you and your family.
And what about you?
Absolutely.
What about you, Margie?
Great advice. I absolutely, yes to that. And I would also say, just knowing that good enough is good enough, generally.
I love
just
that.
Lower the bar. Don't try and be a perfect parent. You don't have to be a perfect mum to be a great mum and for your kids to know that they're loved.
You can buy the birthday cake instead of doing the women's weekly theme party.
Absolutely, you can. You can.
There is no perfect mum.
Well, it's been a wonderful discussion today. Thank you so much, Sasha and Margie, for joining us.
Thank you. It's been great having you.
Please go to our website for fact sheets and for more information about this show, The Exchange. We look forward to seeing you next time.
See you then.